Okay, it's time to get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Learn and Relearn with Eve. And my guest is here, as always, on time. As always, he's on time. Should be interesting. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How
How are
you
you, Eve?
doing? I
I'm
am
good.
very
I'm
well,
good.
thank
I'm
you.
good.
Hmm,
How are
the
you?
one and on- the one and I'm great though. The one and only Valentine Ohu. Ohu.
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Very well. How are you?
Mm. I'm very well. How was your weekend?
Restful. Chill.
That's that. That's a
For
good
the
thing.
first time in a long time.
I know, as in you that you don't you as in for you to rest like this is like it's a war.
Yeah, well, man's gotta hustle
Good
now.
to see you. Thank you so much for
My
taking
pleasure.
out time to
Mm.
be a guest on my show today. I know, like people like you now, we have to feel form first before, you know.
Gist.
But it's true now. When you're big. Oh, don't you know this? How
Gist.
don't you know
No,
these
no, no, no.
things?
No, it's my
Eh?
honor. No, when you sent me that email, I was like, no, 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 no. Eve's my girl. I have to do this. We have to do this for the culture, you know?
Oh, hey.
We have to do
But
this for the
thank you so
culture.
much. So, for
My
those who are
pleasure.
just joining us, if you do not know who Valentine Ohu is, please listen to the morning show every day, Monday to Friday, Smooth FM 98.1. And there's one thing I like listening to sometimes called the Grapevine. I don't know where that name came from, but I mean it's unique. And if you're looking for pretty intelligent stuff and information, Grapevine is the place to be. But also tune
Mm.
in every morning from 5, 6 a.m. to listen to
6 a.m.
Valentine.
6 to
Yeah,
11
6
a.m.
a.m.
every morning, 98.1, Smooth
Hey,
FM, Smooth
hey,
Breakfast, Freshly Pressed 981, Lagos Talks
giving us
981,
break.
Grapevine
Hey,
981, Locker Room
hey.
981, Business Express.
Ah,
Yeah,
you know,
every day.
you know. But okay, so speaking of presenting, we're talking on a topic called presenting as an art. Now, a lot of people don't know that presenting has its own skill, as in there has to be
Mm.
something about presenting that is amazing. People know when we say presenting as an art, people just feel, oh, it's not mic, oh yeah, open, we'll talk. Is it not camera? Do it.
Yeah.
But people don't
It's
know
not
that there's
fun.
a
It's not
lot.
fun. It's not English.
You know, is it not accents? We can fake it.
It's not
I,
accent.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just got back from the States, So I'm sorry,
It's
I
not
meant
me.
London. Sorry, I meant
Oh.
London. I just got back from London, so I'm sure I can get a job here in Nigeria. So, I mean, but people don't know that it's more than that because there's a lot. Just from your deliveries to your understanding your audience to know the kind of shows you want to do, what works for you, and how
Yeah.
you can, let your listeners relate. So,
Yeah.
today on presenting as an art, Valentine is going to be telling us some of the things that need to be done because there are a few questions that people ask, especially for up and coming presenters. Everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be a
Yeah.
presenter. I want to be a presenter," and for some people, it's inbuilt. Some
Hmm.
people have to train, but even the ones that come inbuilt still have to train to harness their skills better. So let's
Mm.
start now. How and when did you figure out that presenting was what you wanted to do?
How and when? I can tell you how. I can't tell you when. Because as far
Okay.
back as I can remember, I've been very curious about media-related material. So if I see newspaper clippings, for instance, I pick up newspapers, copies of old newspapers my dad had read.
Yeah.
Um, the part that really interested me was going to the ad section, going through the
Okay.
ads, like all the, MTN ads those days, Equinet, those, well, before GSM anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so as far back as 2002, in fact, 2002 was when I got my first break, my first audition, my first job on radio. But before then,
Okay.
fed that curiosity was just my love for information, especially information that's wrapped up in art,
Uh-huh.
colorful words on ads, newspaper, I tried my hands on some news, news bits published in some of these
Mhm.
common newspapers in those days, just to try to sound like what I heard on local radio. Yeah, I was
Okay.
fascinated. I felt like they knew so much, so
Mm-hmm.
I put myself on that, relay to try to learn as much as I could, just to know a
Yeah.
little about everything.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you spoke about auditions. So your first audition as a presenter,
Mm.
were you rejected? And if you were, how did you handle it?
My first audition was in 2002, like I alluded to earlier. It was at Treasure FM, Radio Nigeria Treasure 98.1 in Port Harcourt.
Hmm.
This is so crazy.
That's
My
weird.
first radio was 98.1. My,
See?
like where I work right now is 98.1. So weird.
That
Anyway,
I just thought about it now. Like, that's
circle
so
of
much of
life,
a
eh?
coincidence. I
I
know,
know.
right?
So then I was called in for an audition. They were looking for a young, vibrant undergraduate to host a youth and teenage counseling show called It's My Life. It was on Saturdays at 2 p.m. And
Hmm.
I got wind of it because I had attended one of the episodes of the show. Like I'd been invited. They were getting volunteers, volunteer audience or participants to come from school. And University of Port Harcourt is located very close to that, radio station. So I
Yeah.
went once and I enjoyed the conversation. And the way I contributed, I guess, um, you know, got them to remember that, oh, there's this guy, we can bring him in to just try his hands on the job to see if he
Hmm.
can present. I went there thinking it was just an off-record audition. It wasn't going to be anything fancy. It was just going to be question and answer from the host, Loretta Kunuga. I remember her very well. She's very good astute broadcaster. So she gave me a chance, and she says she told the producer to turn on the mic. So there was the way the studio was set up then. They have the live studio in one corner, and then they have a glass demarcating the producer
Yeah.
cubicle. So the producer turned on the mic, and she gave me a script to introduce just basic structure, introduction, body, close of the show.
Yeah.
But she just said, "Introduction. This is the topic. Talk about this." And I started talking about it. Said, "Don't worry, I'm here." That she's going to be prompting me. I started talking about it, and then she wrote something on paper and she turned it at me and says, "Okay, now ask them to call this number." I'm like, "Call what?" Okay, anyway, it's an audition, right? Call this number, and then calls started coming in. I'm like, "What? Where? What's going
Wait, she
on?"
put you on air and you didn't know.
Yeah, that was my first audition.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Live. So the moment
Ah,
I realized I was talking to real people on
yeah.
the other end, they have been
Uh-huh.
listening to me for the past 15 minutes. It was a 30-minute show. I was like, what just happened? Okay, well, I'll keep it
How?
cool. My voice started shaking, Sha, but I was like, no, this can't be happening. But I survived through the end. At the end of that show, it was such a surreal feeling. I went over that moment a million and one times, after that day
Wow.
and kept talking
I've
about
never
it.
heard
But
that happen to anyone before, that they actually put the person on live radio
yeah,
and they just
I'll
say
forever
go.
be grateful to her for, doing it that way because I wouldn't have had a better push. I think I should do a lot. I should try a lot of things like that these days, because that was the best way. I feel like if I was given a chance to audition, I probably would have flopped my audition the first time. If it was just a
Hmm. Very
recording
true,
session, but it
Sha.
was
Very.
live. And the feedback they got after that episode was, got me a call back and they said, no, this guy is good. Let's not look for it. They canceled auditions for everybody else and then we
Wow.
got it.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
You
And I
dead.
was in 200
Okay.
level at the time.
Matter.
Yeah.
So with your experience, in as a journalist broadcaster, um, can you give us can you share one best moment you've had and one of the worst moments you've had?
I think one of my favorite moments was in 2008. Yeah. If
Hmm.
I remember correctly, when I interviewed August of 2008, when I interviewed Dennis Williams
Oh.
for I don't know, I wouldn't, let me not sound old. Dennis Williams, Google her. She did a lot of songs.
Um,
Let's hear
excuse
from
me.
the boy. That's the one. That's the
Excuse
same
me.
lady.
You are old. You do know you're old.
Uh, Please, I'm not.
Yeah, you're old.
So she came to Nigeria. Silverbird brought her in at the time. I was working at Rhythm 93.7 Port Harcourt. So
Okay.
she came into the studio one evening. I was hosting the drive time show then. And it was such a surprise. Like, I was looking at her, I'm like, wait, wait, huh? Who? Why? How? You know, they flew her
You say
in
why?
for, I think, well, yeah, I think they flew her in for Rhythm Unplugged that year. So it
Oh,
was
okay.
really nice. She was, I think, what made that conversation very exciting and the interview exciting because we connected in such an uncanny way that Ben Bruce at the time was in the studio and he was wondering what's going on, like, who's this guy? You know, so he
Like
hadn't
you
met
guys
me.
knew each other. Yeah.
Yeah, but we blended so well because she was fascinated by the fact that such a young presenter knew her songs well. And I knew those songs because of my
Oh,
older siblings. We used to play her songs a
ah,
lot at home. So I'm saying that because that was a significant moment for me because it made me realize, amongst other things, that knowledge of music, of your craft, comes into play. And you never know when that opportunity will come up where that
yeah,
knowledge will be tested and you need to prove it.
true. Okay, so one worst moment.
When I was talking, I never took light and there was no gen to come back on. And that's happened a lot of times. So that's one of my least
Plastic
favorite
campaign.
moments. And I'm
Plastic
like,
campaign.
and I'll be like, so all this English I just spoke now. So if you cannot just respect yourselves and just keep quiet, and then again, please,
And
please.
I'm sure it would have been when the show was like right up there,
Yeah,
and then it happened.
when people, barrage of calls, the feedback is amazing, the
Yeah,
conversation is at a high point, and you're just about to come in one cliffhanger and then poof.
and did it.
First of all, the fluorescent light in the studio just went up. I'm like,
Oh.
okay, that's it, man. Yeah, those embarrassing moments.
Oh,
I'm sure a
that's
lot of
deep.
us
Oh.
have experienced it. You know,
Huh? No, I haven't. Sorry, sorry.
whatever, man. You just got into radio when? When did you get on radio again?
Oh my! Oh, it's like that now.
Excuse
Oh,
you.
okay.
In
Hold
my time, we
on.
didn't have
What,
inverters. There was no
bro?
such
You
thing
are
as
old.
inverters. You
That's
get me?
see, you're
So
old. When I said you were old, you are looking at
I'm
me.
not
Are
that
you
old,
not old?
please.
You're
Where is
old,
the
bro.
gray hair? Show
Stop it.
me. No gray hair. But anyway,
It's not by gray hair. Let me just tell
okay,
you that.
cool.
All right. So for an up and coming presenter, because I hear a lot of young people say, "Oh, I want to be a presenter. I want to work on radio," and a lot
Mm,
of them just feel like they come out of school and bam, they're on air like that. Some of them don't
mm,
feel like they have to go for training and all that.
mm.
How does somebody like that prepare for an audition, guy, girl? Everybody is, I want to do this, I want to do that. But if an up and coming presenter wants to go for an audition, how would he or she prepare for an audition?
So if you're going for an audition to get a role on radio, to get a show, right, to be a radio presenter
Yeah.
or an on-air personality, the basic
Mm-hmm.
structure of a radio program is in three major parts: the introduction, the body, the outro, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those two extremes are the most important. The way you start your show and the way you end it. Those are the high
Yeah.
points. So starting your show, you don't need to speak too much English. You don't need to talk long. So one of the skills you should really practice before you go for an audition is put your thoughts together. Make it clear. Your expressions don't have to be ambiguous. You don't have to use big grammar. That doesn't impress anybody. What impresses people is that you can communicate, you can
Yeah.
articulate your thoughts and bring them out clearly. So when you hear people say enunciate, those are some of the things, technical things that they look for in
Yeah.
hiring radio presenters, not necessarily how strong your accent is or none of that. So if you understand the basic structures, you're introducing a show. What is the show about? What is the sample of the show you're presenting? Simple, clear. I want to talk about 2015 elections. Why? So you're telling a story each time you go on radio. So if you can put a radio program together, 5 minute
Mm-hmm.
show or 5 minute sample that tells a story in the short, simplest form, you've got a
Mm-hmm.
full radio show. So come in, bam, introduce the show, my name, signpost, my name, the name of the radio station, name of the show, what you're going to talk about, just to give them
Mm-hmm.
something to look forward to. Take a break, come back, do the body, go straight into what you're talking about. Don't go back. You can say, yeah, oh, welcome back. My name is Valentine, and this is the show. Here's what we're talking about today. Go straight in. Bam, 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 leave, bam. And give them like a call to action. Okay, send an email for a feedback, or if you want to engage, it's an interactive program. So understanding the structure is first, number one. Second, knowing that okay, what you're going to talk about, ask yourself if you talk to yourself about that thing, that idea, that radio program, that information, does it make sense to you? You know, most of the
Yeah.
time we people ramble on radio without making any sense because they're not listening
Yeah.
to they are listening to the sound of their voice over the content of what they're putting out. So people are interested in content. Content is king. So the radio presenter is not about just who can rap. It's about who can speak and communicate so people can listen
Yeah.
because yeah.
Hmm.
So on audition,
Okay.
simple, yeah. Just prepare those.
So, do presenting skills actually come naturally, or do people have to go for training? Like, are there some people that are just good, they're like born to do this, and there's some people that
Hmm.
have to develop their skills?
Good presentation, right? Especially as it
Yeah.
applies to now,
Hmm.
is personality based. So,
Yeah.
which is why some people might think it comes naturally, like you're born with it. While that
Yeah.
is an expression used, sometimes you need some sort of training because some of the technical things, like the do's and don'ts of radio, you wouldn't pick it up from your mother's womb. You won't pick it up from
Yeah.
having conversations with people around. You need to learn those things. So you have tenets of broadcasting, you have ethics, broadcast ethics, yeah, rules of engagement. If you're, it depends on the style of broadcasting you want to do. If you want to be a shock jock where you ask questions, off the cuff, just pull out of the hat and you get the other person to just, fall back and wonder how you ever got to think of that question or stuff like that. But you get
Yeah.
people to you reveal information, so you can have skills as an interviewer, you can have skills
Hmm.
as a storyteller, as a newscaster or whatever. So the idea behind broadcasting presentation is just to be sure that you understand how the game is played,
Hmm.
and you can be a street smart for so long, but at some point you need to get some sort of professional training. I was a broadcaster, or rather, I was a radio presenter for about 5 to 6 years before I got any professional training. And until I got that, I was actually rapping and doing copy and paste and just learning on the job. But when I got my professional training at the New York Film Academy in broadcast journalism, I
Hmm.
cut my teeth in broad. That's when I really understood that, oh, some of those things that I was getting great feedback on was because I applied these and that. I understood the rules. So it was like my eyes were open to the tricks, the magic behind radio,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
So,
mm,
is there a major difference between, presenting on radio and presenting on television?
of course. Radio
Okay.
is largely imaginative. So you're painting an imaginary picture in people's minds. You're using words that will paint a picture, will transport them to a world that you've created virtually. It's like
Yeah.
VR, virtual reality. But the difference is you can't physically or with a hologram or virtually transport the person, but you actually describe the situation so well
Yeah.
that the person feels like they're there with you. Do you get?
Mm.
So it's a
Yeah.
lot more work than TV. Although some people may beg to differ. They say, oh, TV, you have to make up. TV, you have to do rehearsal. TV, you have to stand. You have to read teleprompter. Please wear glasses and look good. But TV is less work in that sense. TV, a lot of so many more elements come into play. Radio,
Have
you
you
have
ever
to
have you ever
create.
had
Yeah,
any television presenting experience?
a lot, but as mostly as a guest than a host. The
No,
only
I was going to
hosting
ask
stints I've
as a
had.
host.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had, but on a syndicated competition for orphanage homes. So we went
Oh,
around Nigeria in 2012. Went around Nigeria, Adonai Productions at the time. It was a
okay.
charity event, so it just, did auditions, got orphanages to sing and perform, and then we picked the best. So I was the host there at the time.
All right.
That's
So,
one of the few.
you sometimes
Yeah,
I
I
used to
love
try and
radio.
imagine what I used to try and imagine what you can't do because you've done radio, you're still
Yes,
doing radio,
yes.
uh, television presenting. Oh, guys, he acts too. Let me put it out there.
Mm. Yes.
He acts.
Yes. Yes.
Then he models.
Yes.
What else? What else do you do that we don't know? Because I'm
IT.
just like, is there anything that you haven't done?
I built apps. I built Android and
Yes,
iOS
see the
apps,
tech part. He's a
websites,
tech guy, people.
programming,
He's a
digital
geek. He's a
marketing
nerd.
tools. What
See.
else?
Oh yeah,
I'm a
say yes,
hustler.
yes. Say your market, say your market.
I'm a
But
hustler. That's
okay,
what I am. Yeah.
that's it. So everybody's hustling. But the thing
Hmm.
is, when it comes to this issue of being in the media, there are so many names that
It's
we
not
give
an issue.
ourselves.
Why is that an issue? Sorry.
Will you let me land? What's wrong with you, my friend? Okay, so there are like everybody is. Oh, I'm an on-air personality, OAP. To be honest, I don't really like that term, but okay.
Why?
Um, what else? There's someone says I'm a radio presenter. Somebody says I'm a broadcaster. I'm a journalist. I'm a communicator. I'm a this. I'm that. Is there a
Mm.
difference between being a presenter, a broadcaster, journalist, a whatever? Is there any major difference between these guys?
Yeah. So I'll take it from back to front. A journalist is somebody who goes after a story, goes after a
Yeah.
story from beginning to the end, is trying to dig into the story to find out what happened, why it happened, who it happened to, how it happened, where it happened. She'll answer those basic questions, and pretty much what every journalist does is, follow the
Yeah.
story from start to finish and be able to tell it from an angle that can get to the people more, so people can really get the import of the story. And then
Hmm.
a broadcast journalist, well, a journalist is a journalist. Journalism is a broader term. Broadcast journalist is a type of journalist, right? Broadcast
Right.
journalist deals with the stories in a broadcast industry. It could be print
Hmm.
media, it could be radio, it could be TV, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a broadcast journalist. I follow stories. I host, magazine shows. So I don't host a show. I host a compilation of shows. Morning drive, right? Morning show, smooth breakfast, 5 hours. A presenter may only be restricted to a particular segment or show
Right. Hmm.
because he's presenting a script or a broadcast material that he's meant to deliver at a point in time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any such thing as a broadcaster as an individual, right?
Right.
You can be a
Hmm.
broadcast journalist because the true definition of a broadcaster is the organization that deals with broadcasting.
Hmm.
You get me? So,
Yeah.
an individual is a broadcast journalist. A presenter is just limited to the specific role, probably delivers something. A script could be an MC, master of ceremonies, or a compere. That's a presenter. Broadcast journalist is a type of journalist that deals in broadcast industry. So that's if it makes sense to you.
So from now on, now she starts saying I'm a broadcast journalist because I just tell people I'm a radio presenter. I don't do all that.
Yeah, if you're a radio presenter, that's fine, but that gives a knowledgeable person an idea of what you do. So they'll probably should just present one
Okay, so if
segment
you're smart, then you
or
get it.
something.
If you don't know
No,
about, if you
everybody
don't
is
know
not, but the thing
about,
about you, you need to explain to them. So on air personality, which is the part I almost left out, is the newer term that most people
hmm,
like because it's very funky, it's very new, it's very trendy.
very
An
fresh,
on-air
very
personality is
millennial-ish.
an on-air personality is a broadcast journalist in
Hmm.
mainstream media or on urban radio or adult contemporary radio that the show is somewhat tailored after. So a broadcast journalist probably just is restricted to delivering the news and be all about the news and not no
Yeah.
part of your personality is projected on the story or the style that you
Hmm.
use, right? But an on-air
Hmm.
personality presents it in a style and in a form that would make you love the person so much and
Yeah.
indirectly love the material that they're passing across or they're sharing with you. So that's a style that a lot of people love because it's been selling. Dan Foster, God bless his soul, he aced that well.
Yeah.
IK
All right. So
Osakpobua, Folu Storms, Wana Wana, Charles B, my guest, Charles Dallas Ayo, Shola Thompson, Valentine Ohu.
I was waiting for you to mention your name. I was like, somebody's
So,
name is missing. I was gonna be like,
so,
I was gonna be
but
like, somebody's
anyway,
name is
yeah,
missing. And you
yeah.
even forgot your friend. How can you forget money? Really?
No, no, I mean, how many can I mention? I haven't even mentioned you. Money, Freeze, N6, all of them, all of
You
them.
mentioned my name.
Yeah.
God, I'm proud of myself.
Bosun,
Oh,
yep.
all right. So, as a presenter, how can you, because everybody is all about brand, 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 brand. Oh, this is my
Yes.
brand. This is what I do. This is how I go about my life.
Hmm.
So, as a presenter, how do you build your brand?
How do you build your brand? Thanks to social media, you can do that so well. You can every radio presenter, every broadcast journalist should be on social media because that's a very, very, very relevant medium now that people are jumping on. And if you're not on it, in fact, I don't think there's anybody not on it that's in broadcasting. Um, that's the first protocol. That's where you start building your brand. You need to gone are the days where radio presenters can hide behind the transmitter
Yeah,
in the
that's
studio
true.
without
That's
anybody knowing
true.
them. I could walk into places before I hear adverts. I still do. But now you find more situations where people walk up to you at the mall and just say hi to you because they recognize you from social media and there's a
You
room to
know,
merge that with the voice and identified you, you know.
yeah.
I used to get people walk up to me and say, when they realize I'm Valentine, some of the compare jobs I've posted or have had in Lagos, they walk up to me and say, or they walked up to me back in the day, you know, and exclaimed at how my voice makes them imagine a 40-year-old, bearded, dark, fat man. You know,
Wow.
so when they now finally meet me, they now say, you? That was
You.
you? Miss Val? Are you sure? I'm like, no, 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 he just
Oh
passed.
my God.
You know, he'll be back.
Wow.
But yeah,
I, I mean,
yeah,
like
it's
back in
good.
the day before social media and stuff, I used to want to be on radio because I was like, I won't stress myself to be dressing up. Just wear jalami and go to work and come back. But
I
now I'm just
know.
like,
Or just,
I'm just
hoodie.
like,
Try it.
just wear sweatshirts, sweatpants or sweatshirts and just go
Try
to
it
work and
now. So that's
but
why
now
the radio
but
presenters,
now
broadcast journalists have to make they have to make a conscious effort to
yeah,
always be ready, look camera ready every time, even if you're going to a studio where there are no cameras. Now we film ourselves, because you have to put out that content. It's not
yeah,
enough. It's not enough to just hide behind those boxes and think that's your reach. A lot of people don't listen to traditional radio these days. We
true.
beg them to download
Very
apps
true.
so things are changing and we need to change with them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so please, okay, can you share a few qualities like not no not qualities like yeah, sorry, what am I saying? Yeah, a few qualities that a presenter should have.
Mm.
What do you like? I know there are a lot, but can you give us like five?
5 qualities a radio presenter should have. You should be very polite. Fact. Go and learn how to be a good customer
Oh,
sales
you
rep.
need to be very polite.
Honestly,
Wow.
because if you're going to host a show that takes calls, you need to be very polite. Hello, how are you? Be cheerful, nice. Nobody cares what you went through before you got to the studio. You have to be happy, like chirpy. Politeness is key, number one. Number two, um, you have to be an honest person.
Mm,
Honesty would come through in the way you talk, in your emotions, even if sometimes we mask our emotions when we get into the studio because don't want it to be about ourselves. But you have to be honest in your expressions because there are
yes.
some analogies you might use on radio and it doesn't make sense, or you're lying. It will come through in your tone. You have to be an honest person. You have to be polite. You have to be some of those good virtues. You have to be articulate with your words. And I use that deliberately because it's actually about pronouncing your words well over sounding a certain
Yeah.
way. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
be able to articulate your words and your thoughts and quickly.
Mm,
You have to
right.
learn how to read fast. Speed reading is a skill that most people these days should have. So you can read ahead of the line. If you're reading a script, for instance, you need to read ahead of the line. It's not just for TV presenters. For radio, If you're relaying news or stuff, you have to be able to do that. And then you have to be a voracious reader. You have to love to read and learn. You
Yeah.
have to have that hunger. You have to be a sponge for information. Soak in information as much as you can because on radio, a spontaneous live, especially a live show, somebody could ask you a question that's random, like off topic, you have to answer. If you don't know, that honesty kicks in. You tell the person, laugh at yourself. That's a reference to the honesty part. You have to laugh at yourself because you can't be perfect all the time. I mean, coming up in radio, I've done radio how many years? 16 years. I've made a lot of mistakes on air, and I laugh at myself a lot. Then, yeah, you will feel like, let me
So
go
all
and
you
try,
so all
go
you
sit down
had
and
to do
swallow
was
me.
laugh at it. Are you serious?
Yeah, like some weeks ago, it's not too long. I was so passionate about what I was
Wow.
saying, and I was talking with a caller, and then I used past tense instead of present tense. So I just thought like, wow, really? And just laugh at yourself and continue. Because everybody knows, like they know that you've made that mistake. So how do you want to?
Oh,
Do you get? Yeah, so
oh,
things happen. But it's
yeah.
when it's when people can believe you, they trust you. You have to get their
Mhm.
trust. So if people can
Yeah.
believe you when they're listening to you and they can, what you're saying makes truth, and that's what keeps loyalty. You know, that's what keeps
Hmm.
loyalty. People don't like fake people at all.
Okay. All right. So, two more questions, or one more question, and then we'll round off. So, what are the basic? Because when it comes to having a job these days, a lot of people don't remember that there are etiquettes in places that you work,
Yeah.
and as your occupation requires. So, what are the basic etiquettes that a presenter, whether you're a TV presenter, radio presenter, broadcast journalist, whatever, what are those basic etiquettes that one should have?
Doing swear words on radio. One.
What?
Uh, don't use swear words on radio.
Yeah.
Don't curse. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't curse. Do not chew in the studio. If you're working in a studio environment, do not chew in the
Hmm.
studio. Brush your teeth before you go on air. It sounds like a no-brainer, but yeah, you should brush your
Oh no,
teeth
that thing
before
is
you go.
actually needed. You can't be smelling somebody's breath off the microphone. Are you joking?
Yeah, and body odor as well. Take care of that before you get into the
Ugh,
studio.
had to
Um,
drop that there.
you asked me etiquette, right?
Yeah.
Study your broadcasting code. You need to understand the laws of the land. So the broadcasting codes so you need to study that. Those they come from National Broadcasting Commission. You get some of those, get a copy. If you don't have, ask your GM for wherever you're working, even if you're an intern. Learn those things and read them like Bible so you understand
Okay.
the rules you can't break. Because you know how, if you understand the rules of radio, of any craft, any
Hmm.
profession, you know how to break them very
Yeah.
well. So much so that the
Ah.
people who made the rules be like, yeah, but yeah, I'll pass. You're good. So you need to, but understand those things. It helps very well,
Yeah.
very well. Because I've worked with a colleague that was picked up and spent Christmas and New Year in prison by for
Oh
no
wow.
fault of hers. Yeah, because she read a script that had an error, wrong information, and she was picked up by the SSS at the time.
Oh.
So you can't say, Oga, I was not the one that wrote that script. Was listening, picked out from the studio live while she was talking, turned off the mic and carried on. So things like
Jesus.
that happen and they are real. So as much as we can get carried away on radio, oh, have fans. Oh my goodness, have you seen our Instagram handle? That can get you in trouble if it is not handled well. So with that, I would say when you're growing in broadcasting or any field that you pick up, don't let it get to your head. Always remain
Mm.
grounded. Always be
Yeah.
respectful. Always respect the craft. Always respect those you met on the job, those who've gone. And please, the biggest currency you get in arts, in anything that you're doing, is learning from those who have been there before you. I'm forever grateful to Loretta Kunuga, Jackson, Fubara Pepper, all those people I met in Radio Nigeria back then, 2000, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting paid at the point. I started
Mm.
getting paid. I wasn't getting paid much, but I learned so much more than I can ever afford as in my life as a broadcaster.
Mm.
So things like that, we should always be willing to learn For those who are aspiring to get internship positions in radio stations or TV stations, please don't be about the money first. I know times are hard. We have to survive transport and things. Yeah, but the
Hell,
value of what you can learn.
you just took the next question, like the next and final question out
Yeah.
of my mouth. I'm gonna
No,
be
the
like,
value of things you
how
can
about those
learn, trust me.
who want to be presenters? Because I hear a lot of people, oh, I want to be a presenter, and the first thing they think is, oh, once they come out or once they go into a radio station, they're going on air almost
Mm,
immediately.
mm.
So what advice, what words of encouragement are you going to give these people?
So that's continuing from the last thought I just shared. Just,
Yeah.
learn as much as possible. Be so hungry for
Mhm.
knowledge that don't be an irritant, don't be a pant. Be so hungry for knowledge that you would be willing to make sacrifices to learn. And saying this just reminds me to give credence to people who identified the value of radio. So it's not limited to just radio presenters alone or TV presenters or those wanting to go into broadcast industry. As a
Yeah.
musician, if you are a musician or you're aspiring to be a famous musician, I'll tell you this. Burna Boy interned on radio on my show for a long time in Port
I,
Harcourt before
I
anybody
used
ever
to.
heard of him. Why he did
Wow.
that at the time, I didn't know. After a while, I now realized that this guy is a very smart guy. He wanted to understand the crowd. He wanted to understand because he just got back into Nigeria at the time from the UK. He didn't understand how to speak pidgin English at the time. So he wanted
Yeah.
radio exposed him to the culture very well and broke him into
Hmm.
the industry to understand how it behaves. So saying this is to pass the message across to everybody else, not just
Hmm.
radio presenters or people who aspire to be presenters, but people who
Yeah.
want to go into the entertainment industry. There's value,
Hmm.
there's gold in all these areas. Like barracks, you can go in there, make friends with generals or, just learn things. And then it's like a window to the world. So
Yeah.
experience, 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 that pays a lot because by the time I graduated from Uniport at the time, University of Port Harcourt, I remember I told you I got my internship position at Radio Nigeria in 2002, right? That was my second year.
Yeah.
I graduated. Immediately I collected my certificate. Rhythm called me. That was my first real job on radio. That I was getting paid
Wow.
salary, full staff. So
Wow. Uh-uh.
so
See?
imagine I didn't do all those things. I didn't make those sacrifices then. They will ask you how many years experience you have. Guy, you just be staring. Like,
You see what I
That's
said?
like, yeah.
That when you're large, you are large. As you were
Wow.
collecting certificates, job was waiting for you. It's not everybody that has this
Because
opportunity. Yeah, you're joking.
because I was ready. Yeah. So
There's
it
that
wasn't
too.
I
There's
wasn't
actually
if
that.
I cared about the money, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's true though. That's
things like that happen. Things
true.
like that happen.
Okay, Valentine Ohu. Ohu, like I like to call it,
Yep.
Ohu. Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
this. I appreciate
And
it.
thank you.
I learned
Thank you for
even
the
me,
opportunity
self.
to share. Thank you.
Even myself, I even learned a few things because nobody's above learning, nobody's above correction, and I picked up a few things. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.
You
Catch
too.
him tomorrow, 98.1 Smooth FM from
6 a.m.
6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thank me later. All right, Val. Good night.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Oh, I had a great time. I hope you did too. And I hope you learned and unlearned and you picked up one or two things. For those who want to be future presenters, you can also catch the video on my Instagram page or my YouTube page. The link is in my bio and you can catch up on a few things. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in, for staying in. Have a great week. Catch me tomorrow from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Manny, Cool FM 96.9, Cool FM. Have a good night. Peace.